तथा भक्तवृंद की जय।
जय।
गौर प्रेम आनंदे।
Hari Hari Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Putale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Shami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Shashi Shekhar Prabhu, can you read the translation there, please?
Hare Krishna. Yes. Chant, chant, Radha Krishna, everyone chant. When Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda came dancing through Nadia, they gave these teachings. Chant, chant, Radha Krishna, everyone chant. You are caught up in a whirlpool of senseless action and are sinking lower and lower. Chant, Radha Krishna, everyone chant. Sorry, I lost the, oh, there it goes. If you understand that the spirit soul is the eternal servant of Krishna, you will never have any more sorrows. Chant Hare Krishna, and your eyes will fill with tears, and your body will feel transcendental shivering. Chant, chant, Radha Krishna, everyone chant. Simply chant Radha Krishna and join with us. Those are the only alms we beg. Chant Radha, chant Radha Krishna, everyone chant. All dangers will be gone when that name is chanted, says Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Chant, chant Radha Krishna, everyone chant.
Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We're reading, studying, discussing Sri Caitanya Caritamrita Adi Lila, 10th chapter. Here we are, text 151.
নির্লোম গঙ্গা দাস আর বিষ্ণু দাস এই সবের প্রভু সঙ্গে নীলাচলে বাস।
Nirloma Gangadas and Vishnudas were the 36th and 37th among the devotees who lived at Jagannath Puri as servants of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nirloma Gangadas
Nirloma Gangadas
and Vishnudas.
Vishnudas.
So I searched for Vishnudas, and apparently there's quite a few Vishnudasas mentioned in different parts of Caitanya Caritamrita. So this is the Vishnudas who is at Jagannath Puri, because we're talking about the devotees in Jagannath Puri here. It doesn't say, it's not fixed here that they're branches, but they're just named as devotees. It's interesting. Text 152 to 454.
বারাণসী মধ্যে প্রভুর ভক্ত তিনজন, চন্দ্রশেখর বৈদ্য আর মিশ্র তপন, রঘুনাথ ভট্টাচার্য মিশ্রের নন্দন। প্রভু যবে কাশী আইলা দেখি বৃন্দাবন, চন্দ্রশেখর গৃহে কইল 2 মাস বাস, তপন মিশ্রের ঘরে ভিক্ষা 2 মাস।
The prominent devotees at Varanasi were the physician Chandrasekhar, Tapan Mishra, and Raghunath Bhattacharya, Tapan Mitra's son. When Lord Chaitanya came to Varanasi after seeing Vrindavan for 2 months, he lived at the residence of Chandrasekhar Vaidya and accepted prasadam at the house of Tapan Mishra. Purport. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Bengal, Tapan Mishra approached him to discuss spiritual advancement. Thus, he was favored by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and received Harinam initiation. After that, by the order of the Lord, Tapan Mishra resided in Varanasi. And when Lord Chaitanya visited Varanasi, he would accept prasadam at the home of Tapan Mishra. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnanam Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamayam Dadati Sha Pandantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Before speaking, I'd like to first ask the permission and blessings from the seniors present who might be senior by age, advancement in Krishna consciousness, or involvement in the Hare Krishna movement. Thank you. So these three individuals mentioned here, Chandrasekhar Vaidya, then there's Tapan Mishra, and Raghunath Bhattacharya or Raghunath Bhatta. I was looking at the Chandrasekhar Vaidya, and you can give your views on this, but my understanding is this Chandrasekhar Vaidya is different than the Chandrasekhar in Navadvip. Just like in the Hare Krishna movement, sometimes, devotees would join, and before they got initiated, they would have different. So we had, like in New York Temple, we had Jeff number 1, Jeff 2, Jeff 3, or Bob 1. People have common names. Mike 1, Maha Mike, because to distinguish. So distinguish this. The Chandrasekhar in Nadia was Chandrasekhar Acharya, also known as Acharya Ratna. And this is Chandrasekhar Vaidya. He's a medicine doctor. So we can see the difference. Chandrasekhar Acharya in Navadvip, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Amrita Pravaha Bhashya, he was married to the sister of Lord Chaitanya's mother, Sachi Devi. So he was the maternal uncle. What do you say, maternal uncle? How do you say that?
This one is, I think,
Mama.
No, Mama would be mother's brother. But this one is mother's sister's husband.
Yes.
So this
Mother's sister's husband. So you say?
Mosa.
Mosa. Okay. Yeah, these things aren't distinguished in English, but in the Indian languages generally they are. So, and not only he was living there in Navadvip, and apparently his home was just right next to the home of Jagannath Mishra. If you have been there to Mayapur, the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya is there down the road from the ISKCON temple, ISKCON Mayapur Chandradoy Mandir. So right next to that, the appearance of Lord Chaitanya, where Jagannath Mishra's house was, that was the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya, it was called at that time Vrajapatna, and later, to this day, that location is where the Chaitanya Gaudiya Math is. It was started there by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And that Chandrasekhar, he would often, just like the nocturnal kirtans were occurring at the home of Srivas Thakur, but sometimes they would take place at the home of Chandrasekhar Acharya. And Lord Chaitanya, when he sometimes would put on plays and dramas, and those dramas would often take place at the home of Chandrasekhar Acharya. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, one of the first persons who he informed was Chandrasekhar, his mother's sister's husband, and he performed the ritual ceremonies for the sannyas initiation. And after Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, he was on his way. He wanted to go to Vrindavan, and Chandrasekhar Acharya was the one who informed the devotees that Lord Chaitanya was actually in Shantipur at the house of Advaita Acharya, and many of the devotees, including Mother Sachi, came there to see Lord Chaitanya before he went to Puri. So these are the activities of the Chandrasekhar Acharya, who was apparently from a Brahmin background, having performed the ritualistic ceremonies for the sannyas of Lord Chaitanya, etc. But here we're this Chandrasekhar is a Vaidya, and in the purport in the Adi Lila, Srila Prabhupada says that he was known as from a Kayasta background, Kayastas, and they were called Lekakashudra, means an educated laborer, for like a clerk. So that's obviously different. And Lord Chaitanya, when he first went to Benares, as Varanasi is another name for, but Benares is another name for Varanasi. He didn't stay long, but he went on the way to Mathura, and he came back. Then he stayed in Varanasi for 2 months and stayed at the house of Chandrasekhar. And ordinarily, it's considered that the sannyasi, by strict rituals and rules, should only stay at the house of a Brahmin. But Lord Chaitanya stayed at the house of this Chandrasekhar, the Varanasi Chandrasekhar. And Srila Prabhupada commented about that, that show Lord Chaitanya wanted to show that he's beyond the rules of the Varnashram system, and that he's completely independent. He can do whatever he likes and not become influenced. And he commented that just like Lord Keshava takes the form of a hog, but he doesn't become hoggish. You follow? He's always completely independent and transcendental. So Lord Chaitanya can stay anywhere. He can sit in a dirty place at the assembly of the Mayavadi sannyasis, and he can also stay at the house of a person who's not considered high class. Although a devotee, any devotee who's seriously following the principles of Krishna consciousness, they're as good as any Brahmin. So Lord Chaitanya was exhibiting that, showing that principle by staying at the house of Chandrasekhar. But he didn't accept his meals there. While staying there, he accepted his meals daily at Tapan Mishra. And what was Lord Chaitanya's given name when he appeared? His family name, given name?
Vishwambar.
Vishwambar, and last name?
Mishra.
Mishra, yeah. So these are two Mishras. They're both from Brahmin background. So, but this Tapan Mishra, it's interesting. Tapan Mishra was initiated Harinam Diksha by Lord Chaitanya while he was in Bengal. It's very interesting because when Lord Chaitanya was in Bengal, he hadn't yet taken sannyas, isn't it? So he was giving Harinam Diksha even before taking sannyas to others, including Tapan Mishra. Then he asked Tapan Mishra to go stay at Varanasi. So while Lord Chaitanya was there for the 2 months in Varanasi, a man showed up at Chandrasekhar's door, was sitting outside on the veranda door porch outside Chandrasekhar Vaidya's home, and Lord Chaitanya said, "There's a Vaishnav who's sitting at the door. Can you come ask him to come in?" So Chandrasekhar Vaidya went outside. When he looked around, he said, "I don't." He came back. He said, "I don't see any Vaishnav at all." And Chaitanya said, "Did you see anybody?" And he said, "Oh yes, there was looked like a fakir, a Muslim guy." And Lord Chaitanya, "Tell him to come in," because at that time, this was, you know who that was? Remember?
Yeah, Sanatana Goswami.
Sanatana Goswami.
Sanatana Goswami. Yeah, he was dressed like a Muslim. He had been part of the Muslim government in Bengal. So he could come in, and he was shocked. Chandrasekhar was shocked when Lord Chaitanya, seeing Sanatana Goswami in Muslim garb, he embraced him. Because we can see that the external dress of the devotee is not the more important thing. Because he understood this is my eternal servitor, Lord Chaitanya. So that took place at the home of Chandrasekhar and Varanasi, Chandrasekhar Vaidya. Chandrasekhar and Tapan Mishra both were very distressed because they knew that the Mayavadi sannyasis, headed by Prakashananda, were blaspheming Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, calling him a sentimentalist, just doing singing and dancing in the company of other sentimentalists. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that although they were pure devotees, both Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhar Vaidya, they were still on the Kanishta level because they couldn't defeat the arguments of the Mayavadi sannyasis with scriptural evidence. So the Kanishta Adhikari, they can also be pure devotee, but Srila Prabhupada encouraged devotees to rise to the level of at least Madhyama Adhikari, if not Uttama Adhikari, because a Madhyama Adhikari can preach the cult and the conclusions of Krishna consciousness from the authorized scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Caitanya Caritamrita, Vedanta Sutra, the Puranas, Mahabharata, etc., to convince others of the importance of following Krishna consciousness and becoming freed from the cycle of birth and death in the human form of life. So although Chandrasekhar and Tapan Mishra were pure devotees, apparently they had not imbibed and fully understood the scriptural injunctions, or be able to explain the scriptural injunctions to others, particularly those Mayavadi sannyasis, were certainly a tough audience to try to convince. Questions on this? No, next one.
রঘুনাথ বাল্যে কইল প্রভুর সেবন, উচ্ছিষ্ট মার্জন আর পাদ সম্বাহন।
When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed at the house of Tapan Mishra, Raghunath Bhatta, who was then a boy, washed his dishes and massaged his legs.
বড় হইলে নীলাচলে গেলা প্রভুর স্থানে, অষ্টমাস রহিল ভিক্ষা দেন কোনো দিনে।
When Raghunath grew to be a young man, he visited Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri and stayed there for 8 months. Sometimes he offered prasadam to the Lord.
So Raghunath Bhattacharya and Raghunath Bhatt same then.
Same.
Why they only call Raghunath Bhatt?
It's shorter.
প্রভুর আজ্ঞা পায়া বৃন্দাবনেরে আইলা, আসিয়া শ্রীরূপ গোসাইর নিকটে রহিলা।
Later, by the order of Lord Chaitanya, Raghunath went to Vrindavan and remained there under the shelter of Srila Rupa Goswami.
তার স্থানে রূপ গোসাই শুনেন ভাগবত, প্রভুর কৃপায় তেহ কৃষ্ণ প্রেমে মত্ত।
While he stayed with Srila Rupa Goswami, his engagement was to recite Srimad Bhagavatam for him to hear. As a result of this Bhagavatam recitation, he attained perfectional love of Krishna, by which he remained always maddened. Purport. Raghunath Bhattacharya or Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis, was the son of Tapan Mishra. Born in approximately 1425 Shakabda, 1503, he was expert in reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the Antya Leela, chapter 13, it is stated that he was also expert in cooking. Whatever he cooked would be nectarian. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was greatly pleased to accept the food that he cooked, and Raghunath Bhatt used to take the remnants of food left by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raghunath Bhattacharya lived for 8 months in Jagannath Puri, after which Lord Chaitanya ordered him to go to Vrindavan and join Srila Rupa Goswami. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Raghunath Bhattacharya not to marry, but to remain a brahmachari. And he also ordered him to read Srimad Bhagavatam constantly. Thus, he went to Vrindavan, where he engaged in reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to Srila Rupa Goswami. He was so expert in reciting Srimad Bhagavatam that he would recite each and every verse in 3 melodious tunes. While Raghunath Bhatt Goswami was living with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord blessed him by offering him betel nuts offered to the Jagannath deity and a garland of tulsi said to be as long as 14 cubits. Under Raghunath Bhatta Goswami's order, one of his disciples constructed the Govinda temple. Raghunath Bhatt Goswami supplied all the ornaments of the Govinda deity. He never talked of nonsense or worldly matters, but always engaged in hearing about Krishna 24 hours a day. He never cared to hear blasphemy of a Vaishnava, even when there were points to be criticized. He used to say that since all the Vaishnavas were engaged in the service of the Lord, he did not mind their faults. Later, Raghunath Bhatt Goswami lived by Radha Kund in a small cottage. In the Gaur Gunadesh Deepika 185, it is said that Raghunath Bhatt Goswami was formerly the gopi named Raga Manjari. Let's look back at the top. So Raghunath Bhatta Goswami came as a young man. He was there in the home of his father when Lord Chaitanya used to come there for taking his meals. And at that time, he would wash his dishes, says, and give a massage. Very interesting. So then later, when he became a young man, like 18, 19, he went to see Lord Chaitanya in Puri and stayed there for 8 months. Lord Chaitanya then sent him back to Varanasi to serve his parents, who were great devotees. Later, and also at that time, Lord Chaitanya told him to study Srimad Bhagavatam and other, in the Bhakti Ratnakara, it says that Raghunath Bhatta Goswami at that time studied under a pure devotee living there, although that devotee isn't named, living in Varanasi, Srimad Bhagavatam. So he became quite proficient in understanding and reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, which is also Kirtan. Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. There are different activities of devotional service. What are there are 9 activities? Do you know those 9 activities?
Yes, Prabhuji.
What are that, Ram Shyam Prabhu?
Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. Shravanam, first is the Shravanam, then Kirtanam, then Smaranam, then Padasevanam, Archanam,
Yes.
Vandanam, then Dasyam, and then Sakhyam, and then the full surrender. Atmanivedanam.
Very good, very good. And in each aspect of devotional service, there's a devotee who epitomizes perfection or have reached perfection by performing that particular kind of devotional service. One can perform 1, 2, or all of them. So the person who we say reached perfection by hearing was who?
Parikshit Maharaj.
Yeah. And the person who achieved perfection by chanting was who?
Sukadeva Goswami.
Yeah, so Shukadev Goswami. So Shukadev Goswami was chanting. He chanted Srimad Bhagavatam, right?
Yeah.
So this is Kirtan also. Kirtan. Sometimes we have 24-hour Kirtan or 12-hour Kirtan. And so Srimad Bhagavatam, part of that can also be part of the Kirtan. It's not just we have to Kirtan is only the chanting of the holy names. And then who achieved perfection by remembering, smaranam?
Prahlad Maharaj.
Then padasevanam.
Lakshmi Mata.
Then archanam.
Akrura. Oh, sorry. He is in Bandhana. So, Archanam. Prithu Maharaj.
Yes. And then dasyam.
Hanumanji. Yeah.
Hanumanji, Maruti, yes. And then friendship
Arjuna.
and Atmanivedana.
Bali Maharaj.
Yes, yes. So this Raghunath Bhattacharya was very expert. And like we chant, we chant Srimad Bhagavatam, and sometimes we even have a difficulty finding one good tune to chant. But he was chanting 3 tunes, each verse in 3 different tunes. I don't know if we have any recording of that. Does anybody know? It would be interesting to be able to find those 3 tunes if they're recorded somewhere. Either, not necessarily we couldn't get a digital or a tape recording, but maybe written recording about how the sounds were. Like when you have music, you can have notes on the music site. So, yeah, Raghunath Bhatt. So after studying Srimad Bhagavatam, he came back to see Lord Chaitanya after his parents had passed away. And then at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him to take shelter of Rupa Goswami and serve him. in Vrindavan. So although Rupa Goswami is usually associated with the Govindaji temple as the main person who built the Govindaji temple in Vrindavan, here we find that it was Raghunath Bhatt, who was servant of Rupa Goswami, who arranged to get the temple actually constructed following the order of Rupa Goswami. Very interesting. They were talking about the Tulsi garland of 14 cubits. How long is a cubit? How big is a cubit? Anybody? What is a cubit? Oh, come on. I'm the only one to look this up? Because a lot of times in the Vedic and other Indian literature, they use the measurement of a cubit. A cubit is the distance from your elbow to the top of your finger. This from your elbow to the top of your finger, right? Which I guess according to a person, some people have longer arms than others, bigger hands than others. It's a little variable, but mostly it's about 1.5 foot, 1.5 feet. Western system of measurement. So how long is this garland that Lord Chaitanya gave Raghunath Bhatta Goswami?
18 times 14, 10 times 100.
4.5 feet.
How many? Come on.
50 feet.
132.
4.5 feet, right?
No.
14 cubits. Each cubit is 1.5 feet.
21 feet.
21. Yes, very good, Krishna Kirtan. Yeah.
In Orissa,
Can you-
in Orissa, we still use that measurement actually.
What's that?
In Orissa, we still use that measurement system.
Oh, so how come you didn't respond?
But I
Well,
didn't
yeah.
understand what the cubit means. The English word I didn't understand.
Oh, okay. So what do you call it?
Hatha, because you measure with the hand.
Hatha,
Land also measured like the same way, many places. And
Yeah,
flowers
yeah.
also like the
It's
same.
usually the handmade garlands that are made and sold in the market. That's the measure that the flower vendor will use.
And what do they call it?
In South, it's called a mora.
Mura.
Mora.
And in Orissa, they call it?
We
Krishna
still use
Kirtan.
hatha, the hand. Hatha means a
Hatha.
hand. Yeah.
Okay.
Hatha means a hand. So because you measure with the hand, okay, five pancha hatha, five hands, like that.
Okay. Is there Ram Shyam has his hand up? I don't know. Is that?
Yeah, Prabhu, in the same regards, like we say, Odisha, Bihar, I'm from Bihar. So hath, one hath, 2 hath, 3 hath. And
Hath,
similarly,
hath.
yes, hath. Hand means hand.
Okay.
So-
Okay.
And similarly, when for the measure of, as Krishna Kirtan Prabhu mentioned, like measuring of the land, also we say like from the leg, that is called dug, 3 dug. Like you remember Baman Dev, Lord Baman asked
Yes.
Bali Maharaj the 3 dug land. So it means leg from one step to another step, that is the dug, 3 dug. So we measure the land in our Bihar in that area by the dug only.
By the steps.
Yeah, by the steps. So that,
Okay.
yeah.
So this garland was 20. Can you imagine a 21-foot garland? That's quite big. That's a long. Even though Lord Chaitanya was very tall still, and it said that this garland is still available to view. Raghunath Bhatta kept it very carefully from the hand of Lord Chaitanya. Then the last point that Srila Prabhupada makes here in the purport about Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is he didn't talk nonsense. In the world, there's so many subject matters to talk about, and as soon as you in the morning time you hear the birds chirping, they're having so many subject matters. Where can you get some food, etc. But he was always talking about Krishna Caitanya Sadahari. And he didn't want to hear criticism of Vaishnavas, even though there were things to be criticized. Still, he didn't want to consider those things, but wanted to consider their engagement in the service of the Lord. This is a good practice. It's an important practice for devotees because for two reasons. One is appreciating as devotees' service helps us make progress in spiritual life, and avoiding criticizing, unnecessarily criticizing, helps us to avoid offenses to devotees, which can cripple our spiritual advancement. Srila Prabhupada commented, it's like finding faults with devotees is like seeing the pock marks on the moon. The moon is so, it's effulgent and soothing rays are there. And, but if someone says, oh, look at that, there's some pock marks there. Yeah, oh, this is missing the point. Similarly, if someone is criticized for being dirty while they're in the shower, it doesn't make sense. They're in the process of being cleansed. So it's not always easy to think this way, especially we think, oh, some people do some things to us we may not like. And so the tendency is to retaliate or to criticize. But the nature of a devotee, Krishna conscious person, is they're not quick to criticize, but to appreciate the activities of service, devotional service, and learn to be tolerant of problems or things that are done. Of course, the duty of the spiritual master is to criticize the disciple, but we're not spiritual masters here specifically, so better to appreciate the services of devotees than to criticize as a general rule. Comments, questions? Next verse.
Very,
Go ahead. You had Krishna Kirtan, you were going to say something.
yeah, very nice point you're addressing here. Criticism, one should not offend by criticism, but at the same time, a spiritual master has to correct. Otherwise, this is the problem happens that sometimes people consider the spiritual master's correction also as a criticism. Consider that. Oh, how come he's finding faults? It's not finding faults. It's that also nowadays system is that where it's very humble. And you have to very carefully correct. The day by day people's tolerance level is so low. Only one comment I want to make is that when you say spiritual master, we are not spiritual masters, but those who are in the leadership position, they've taken responsibility of providing, cultivating devotees. They also can be considered as a Siksha Guru or instructing. So they have to correct the congregation for their well-being. So this is the Nishkan we follow that. And first chapter we already read it. The spiritual masters in Adi Leela. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami said there's no difference between the initiating spiritual master or under whom we are getting guidance and trained. So I'm glad you brought this point. So I just wanted to comment. If without being corrected, a disciple will not be able to grow. But at the same time, one has to know the difference between correcting and fault finding.
Yes, good point. Thank you, Krishna Kirtan Prabhu. So the person's an actual spiritual master who corrects is doing it not with a view to bring somebody down, but to help them. And it's out of mercy that they correct. Great mercy. Otherwise, we remain in ignorance, and so, of course, sometimes it can be used if the person given the correction isn't in that consciousness. It sometimes doesn't work very well. If corrections are given in a critical way, person may not, as you pointed out, may have a difficulty accepting it. But generally speaking, a person who's giving spiritual instruction, if they are fixed on the point that this is not for any other purpose but for their benefit, then it becomes clear. Srila Prabhupada would sometimes criticize devotees very strongly. There was a time when there was the Maharaj of Bharatpur. You know Bharatpur? It's in Rajasthan, very close, not far from Vrindavan, Mathura. So devotees had been cultivating him, and they were staying at the palace that he owned in Vrindavan, very close to Keshi Ghat. So at some point, he decided to donate a solid silver Singhasan swing to the temple, to ISKCON, to Srila Prabhupada specifically, for Srila Prabhupada's deities. So he set it with his servants in a truck to Vrindavan and brought it to the place where the devotees were staying. And they tried to get the devotees to accept it. And one devotee who was a sannyasi at the time took charge, and he said, well, I'm not going to accept this. I don't know. If I accept it now, somebody may steal it. You should send it directly to Srila Prabhupada. Don't give it to me. Don't give it to us. So then he was able to speak in Hindi. So then the servants of the king just took it back to Bharatpur. So when Srila Prabhupada heard that, he said, now you've really done a great thing. You've insulted the king, because he's giving you a gift and you've rejected it. And it was a whole thing. But he was very strong with the devotee, because he said, you only did that because of your inconvenience. You didn't want to take the responsibility of making sure that this was delivered properly, and so out of laziness you rejected it, which was true. So he's strong. He's very strong. Sometimes strong words are important. So he was criticizing, but we have to be very careful ourselves about that, if we did that here. Yes. Ram Shyam Prabhu wrote, is that a new hand or the same old hand? I guess it's the same hand as before. Okay.
I was not able to unmute. So I just wanted to comment on, like, when we were reading, I will build the temple there. The devotees were not able to keep ready of Srila Prabhupada rooms. So he then went, and in front of him only he said, like, keep the room ready today only. I want to be the room today. So just I wanted to bring that info. That time also he criticized the devotee, saying that why it was not ready from last so many days. You make it ready today only. I want today. So devotee within 2 hours, something it is mentioned 2 hours, right, Prabhuji? So yes, they made it ready, and later devotees realized that they did not do in a week, they completed in 2 hours.
Thank you. Good point. Good point. So our point is that if we're criticized by a spiritual master, superior like that, then we can take it as mercy also. On the other side, we avoid criticizing unnecessarily this. Yeah, text 159.
এই মতো সংখ্যাতীত চৈতন্য ভক্তগণ দিনমাত্র লিখি সম্যক না যায় কথন.
I list in this way only a portion of the innumerable devotees of Lord Chaitanya. To describe them all fully is not possible. Oh, I forgot to say. Chandrasekhar Vaidya,
Chandrasekhar Vaidya,
Tapan Mishra,
Tapan Mishra,
Raghunath Bhatt,
Raghunath Bhatt,
or Raghunath Bhattacharya. Yes.
Raghunath.
Text 160.
একৈক শাখাতে লাগে কোটি কোটি ডাল, তার শিষ্য উপশিষ্য তার উপডাল.
From each branch of the tree have grown hundreds and thousands of sub-branches of disciples and grand disciples. Purport. It was the desire of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that his cult be spread all over the world. Therefore, there's a great necessity for many, many disciples of the branches of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disciplic succession. His cult should be spread not only in a few villages or in Bengal or in India, but all over the world. It is very regrettable that complacent so-called devotees criticize the members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness for accepting sannyas and spreading the cult of Lord Chaitanya all over the world. It is not our business. It is not our business to criticize anyone, but because they try to find fault with this movement, the real truth must be stated. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted devotees all over the world. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur confirmed this. It is in pursuit of their will that the ISKCON movement is spreading all over the world. Genuine devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must take pride in the spread of the Krishna consciousness movement instead of viciously criticizing its propaganda work. Comments, observations, questions?
We have a lot of responsibility to spread this message.
Yes.
This pulse should be spread not only in a few villages or in Bengal and India, but all over the world. It's not like one temple in a city or state, actually. It's so inconvenient. It has to be every place easily accessible. The Sangha, temple or center, or the Sangha should be accessible by people locally. They don't have to drive hours. And every one of us responsibility to follow this instruction.
So that's for the genuine devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? As Prabhupada says. It's one of the qualifications, yeah.
This is genuine devotee only?
Right here, last sentence, genuine devotees. Not fake devotees, but genuine.
We all have to be genuine devotee. I mean,
yes. Must take pride in the spread. Yes. So that's a kind of a sign of genuineness, is that there's effort and pride in that this Krishna consciousness movement, the chanting of the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and the Bhagavad Gita is spread different town to town, village to village, everywhere. Yes, text 161.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Oh yes, Ram Shyam Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu. So just, like here the different words are used, like genuine devotee, and you mentioned like pure devotee can be also neophyte devotee, and that pure devotee is the same like Uttama Adhikari or not?
No. Pure devotee just means they have no other desire but for serving Krishna. The realization may not be to the level of Uttama Adhikari or Madhyama Adhikari, but still they have no other desire. And by continuing their practice of devotional service, they will gradually become Madhyam and Uttama as they continue the practice. But pure devotee is not necessarily an Uttama Adhikari. Yeah, Acharya Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you. I always loved that point about the Kanishta Adhikari being a pure devotee.
Yes.
And it's worth remembering that the categorization of Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama is actually given by Rupa Goswami, describing the qualifications for a devotee to begin devotional service. That the qualification of someone just to enter into devotional service is classified as Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttama, depending on your faith and depending on your knowledge. So someone may be, his qualification, he may not have the best qualification, but if it's enough to get him in, sort of get you in the door of devotional service, then as soon as you do that, you immediately have the opportunity of Anyabhilashita Shunyam, that even if you're not very qualified, but if you get into devotional service, and if you're able to give up the process of material advancement and give up the process of mental speculation and be doing your devotional service just for Krishna's pleasure, that's pure devotion. Even if you're a Kanishta in the sense that you don't have very great faith or very great knowledge. Does that make sense at all?
Yes. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for that.
And then because sometimes that definition of Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama is sometimes conflated with the description in is it the 11th canto or 12th canto, where the Prakrita Bhakta, the Madhyama Bhakta, and the Mahabhagavat are described, which is a slightly different angle. That's actually the qualification of someone who's already a devotee.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Acharya Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for clarifying. Here, Prabhu, genuine devotee also comes word. So can you please put this one in the where this fits? Genuine devotee, is that pure devotee? Is that Uttama Adhikari? What is that?
Yeah, I'll
Go
put
ahead.
the references in the group email to each of those. Is that what you're interested in?
Yes. Good. Good. Do that.
My understanding is genuine that irrespective of what state they are, either Kanishta or Madhyama Uttama, but their thought is genuinely aspiring to grow in Krishna consciousness.
That's
Because
the prime aim is to serve Krishna.
right, because at the beginning, when Prabhupada movement started, not necessarily everybody was pure devotees, but their genuineness to follow the instruction and push this movement made them grow.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you. Shall we do this one more shloka?
Yes. সকল ভরিয়া আছে প্রেম ফুল ফলে ভাষাইল ত্রিজগৎ কৃষ্ণ প্রেম জলে.
Every branch and sub-branch of the tree is full of innumerable fruits and flowers. They inundate the world with the waters of love of Krishna. Nice. So usually with a tree, you only have the flowers become fruits, right? But here this tree has fruits and flowers both. Guy, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva chaptanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Vishnu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Vishnugada. Hare Krishna.
Oh, Gopi, Hare Krishna.
Might have had a question. Gopi Verma.
What's that?
Gopi Verma, he had unmuted himself a couple of times. I was trying to.
Oh, I didn't see. I'm sorry.
But maybe next time.
Oh, he left already?
He left.
I apologize. Yeah, I didn't, I only see the people on the top, and he wasn't one of the people on the top. You know, and
Yes, yes.
I guess I should check better with that.
No, that was my job, and I just did not get in there quick enough.
Okay.